Yo, what's going on, peeps? Goobs here. Hopefully you guys are all having a fantastic day. In this one, we have another video, and we've got back. You guys have really enjoyed these top 10 lists so far, and since the All-Star content will be starting to pump out here probably within the next week or so, I thought that we would finish some of these top 10 lists off before we get that next big jumping content. So in this one we have first baseman. I think there's a couple more other positions I still have to do. I've been doing this for probably the last month or so, kind of just like not a tier list, but just like ranking the best players in each position for DD. We've done third baseman. What have we done? We've done starters, we've done relievers, and I think we've done outfielders so far. I might be missing one so far that I've done, but in this one, we got the big boys. We got the first baseman. I want to get as many of these done as possible until the All-Star break is here, because then there's going to be a ton of new cards. These lists will change, and I think once the All-Star content drops, I'll just do like a big tier list video of all of them and going in depth on them. But until then, we still got to finish these out. Starting the list off with number 10 is one of the newest event rewards, Carlos Santana. Now, I usually just do these lists just off of primary positions, so these are all going to be primary first baseman, and Mr. Santana is getting us started off. Not a bad little card here. So one thing about this card is that like the good Carlos Santana card we usually get usually has catcher secondary. That's where most people run him, but he is only a first baseman this year because it is off of his 2019 silver slugging year, where he actually had a pretty good year for the Cleveland Indians. 79 contact against righties, 111 against lefties, which is really good. 97 power to both sides, and he's got 75 fielding, so I believe that equals out to silver. A pretty decently balanced switch hitting card. The only thing that is lacking with this card, and the reason why he is so high up on the list at number 10, is because of the contact against righties. Your piece size is going to be small. It's going to be extra small. One thing I do really love about this card, though, is obviously the 111 against lefties, because there are so many lefty starters in the game, and I tell you guys about this all the time. You have to have decent contact against lefties in this game. It's a necessity. You could honestly put this card higher up in the list, but I do think there's much better options, but I still think Santana is very serviceable, especially against the lefty. Okay, hear me out. Number 9, and you guys are gonna think I'm crazy, it's Josh Bell. I'm putting Josh Bell. He still makes this list. This man was my first baseman for the entirety of the first like 2.5 months of this game, and he was absolutely fantastic. He had 388 for me. He had a 1.25 OPS, 29 bombs, and his stats are pretty solid still. I do have him P4, so he gets 92, 83 contact to both sides, 94 power against righties, 90 power against lefties. He's a little bit more balanced than Santana, I would say. Santana's a little bit better against lefties. He might have a little bit more power, but majority of the time you're going to be facing righties anyway. So at 92 contact against righties compared to Santana's, what was it, 78, 79? Definitely an improvement. He gets 76 fielding with P4, so you know, it's around the same fielding as Santana. You could interchange or like switch these guys up how you do. I just value Josh Bell just because he was so good to me the first like 2 months of this game, and I think he deserves to be on this list though. This might be a little bit of a surprise to you guys, but coming in at number 8 is Jimmy Fox. I believe he was a headliner. I want to say he was a headliner. Like, he was in the headliner pack. I love me some Jimmy Fox cards, man. But this one, you know, he kind of gets this card every year, or he'll get like that lower tier card. They either usually drop this one where he's like really high in content and not so high in power, or they give him like a 95, 96 when he was with the Oakland Athletics, and he has like a ton of power and not so much content. So they went with the content version this year. 102, 125 is very solid. 78 power against righties, 85 against lefties. Not the best power, obviously. 70 fielding. The one thing that keeps Jimmy on this list, right, is the name and that sweet swing he has. So, and I mean, the contact is just as viable as well. He can play the corner outfields, he can play catcher, he can play third. I know it doesn't matter when it comes down to just first baseman, but I'm just saying you don't have to use him at first if you don't want to, so he gets brownie points for that. He's actually pretty fast too for first baseman. 66 speed, so he won't be a liability there. This is from like very early on in his career, I believe. Yeah, he was only 21 years old in 1929, so that contact, if you get him paralleled up a little bit and you get that power threshold above 80 for against the righties, I think this card would be massively massively improved. This card could honestly be higher, but I put a couple of big lefty bats above him just because I feel like, you know, they'll be a little bit more consistent if you have good swings with them compared to the lower power numbers that Jimmy has. Coming in at number 7 is one of my personal favorite players ever, even as a Toronto Blue Jays fan. It's Big Papi, man. I absolutely loved his 99 card last year. I had him P5. He was still one of my best and most well-rounded first baseman who I loved him last year, man. I haven't used this top to now card a whole lot. Only 10 plate appearances. I think I used him in BR once or like an event, but he's got 101, 90 contact against both sides, 113 power and 95 power against lefties. Obviously the fielding and speed, just write that off. This is a guy that he's just going to just flat out mash. We're getting towards the middle of the list now, and we have a returning face, a returning legend to MLB The Show. It's Aegon, baby. One of my all-time favorite first basemen growing up, and he's honestly one of my all-time favorite cards that's ever been in Diamond Dynasty. Before he retired, Aegon had some absolutely fantastic cards. He'll probably get some sort of like prime card or sig card later on this year, hopefully before, you know, we get like the good Jimmy Foxes or, you know, just the Justo first baseman that we're expecting. Aegon is very solid, man. 97, 92 contact to both sides, 105 and 100 power. So Papi kind of has that advantage against righties. You could say he just has that advantage hitting wise, but Aegon's got that butter swing, and look at that fielding number. 84 fielding, man. Nothing is getting by this guy down the line. A bit of a surprise maybe to you guys, and honestly, I didn't think I'd have this card this high up in this list either. It's the Topps Now Collection Jared Walsh. If you look at this card compared to Aegon, they're pretty similar. I do have Walsh P1, so just take one off of each stat for this. He gets gold fielding. He's very well-rounded hitting-wise, 103, 91 with 99 power and 106 power against lefties. He's just got a little bit of that contact boost against righties and lefties compared to Aegon. I think Aegon might have a little bit more against lefties, but I think Walsh overall is just a little bit better well-rounded. He has an absolutely fantastic swing. I've tried him out a little bit. He's got 4 home runs for me in 20 plate appearances, so I think this card, once again, he's even pretty serviceable on the higher difficulties Hall of Fame and Legend. And Walsh actually has a very, very, very good swing. That's what it also comes down to here. I maybe could have put Jimmy Fox higher up just because his swing is so good, but Walsh just has one of those clean swings, man. And he also has an absolutely sick no-doubt animation. Busting in to the top 4, we got my man Big Meat Pete. This was a May Player of the Month card, so he's actually, like, I guess you could say, like, a little outdated, or like he's just not, like, you wouldn't expect him to be this high in this list. And I'm gonna tell you why I have him this high. He's got 97 contact, 92 contact against lefties to both sides, 90 power and 111 against lefties. I personally think, man, just because I've had so many lefties in a row, we've had Walsh, we've had Aegon, we've had Papi, Pete is finally a righty. With how many lefty starters there are in this game, man, I think Pete's more serviceable than those guys. You got Randy to face off, you got Keuchel to face off. There's so many lefty starters in the game, and Pete can hit both sides just as well. He's 97-90 against righty, so it's not like he won't take you deep if you got a righty on the bump. And he's got 92-111 against lefties, 76 fielding, 81 reactions is big. You know, people will look at that bronze defense. It's really just his arm that weighs that down. If his arm was in the 70s, like if he had a decent arm, he would have gold. He'd have the gold badge there, but I believe P4 he gets gold fielding anyway, so that's why I have him above these guys. Plus he's a righty, so he can hit the lefties. You won't have to hit lefty with him. Hitting somebody righty, like facing a right, I'd rather face a righty with Pete Alonso than face a lefty with Jared Walsh or Aegon or stuff like that. Those guys can still hit lefties, but it's still just genuinely harder to hit lefty compared to righty. Top 3 is being cracked now, and speaking of cracked, Michael Toglia. What a dog this guy is. The big man, 6'5". It's gonna be so, I really hope this guy turns out, man, because it's gonna be, this guy's gonna be a absolute blast to watch in Coors Field. I have him P2 already, so knock 2 off of each stat that you see. So he's got 86, 94, 111 and 109 power. He's got some crazy pop to him. One thing that we see on this card that obviously nobody else has had so far on this list, he's got pretty well maxed out defense at first base. You don't see that very often. This man will be making every auto dive possible. You'll be raging if you're facing him because nothing will get down the line. He'll be body blocking everything because he's 6'5", so he's just like a human goalie out there. He's a switch hitter. He's perfect. Like, I get his contact is only 86 against righties, which is like the one like red flag, I would say. It was kind of like the Santana, but this card is infinitely better than Carlos Santana in my opinion. Number 2, which I would say everyone probably expected these next two, so I'm gonna kind of go a little bit quicker with these two. It's Carlos Delgado at number 2. He's a big lefty Batman. You know, I believe this is the first year he's ever been in MLB The Show, or at least the first year he's ever been in DD. He may have been in the show like way back when he played, but this is his first ever card in DD. And it's a pretty solid one. 112, 104 contact to both sides, 115 power. The only kind of negative thing is the power against lefties. He only has 81 on his base card. He gets 83 at P2. He gets silver fielding. He can't get the gold fielding, so you're stuck with silver fielding there. This card's really solid, man. Honestly, I was very excited for Delgado when they announced him. I really thought he would be in this game, and I was right. He's a dog against righties. Not average, I would say, but you know, he's what you expect in a big power bat lefty first baseman. He can smash righties. He's still serviceable against lefties. 104, 83 is nothing to shake a stick at. That is still fantastic. And he also has, if you've used him, he has one of the best, if not the best, no-doubt animation in the game. He's fun to use, and they've absolutely knocked it out of the park with this card this year. I use him for a little bit. 12 home runs and 73 plate appearances, hitting 449 with him, 1.5 OPS. This card is legit. I think he's better than everybody else I've had on this list so far. I obviously can't put him number 1, but the Jays legend, man, look at that card. Coming in at number 1, a surprise to absolutely nobody. It is Frank the Tank Tomas. Absolutely love this guy. I mean, bro, he has been everything I expected. 208 plate appearances. He's still, dude, I remember getting this card and I was hitting like 560 with him because I used him in BR a couple times. I'm like, okay, if I can hit like above like 380 with Frank, that's what I was kind of aiming for. If I can hit like above like 380, 370 with Frank, I think that's a W. Yeah, my man is busted. He almost has a 2 OPS for me, a 1.42 slug, which is absolutely bonkers. I do have him P4, so he gets 113, 109, 109, 125. I mean, he's just perfect, man. You could honestly, I honestly might just use this guy the whole year. Let me know what you guys think of this list. If I left anybody off, if I overrated somebody, if I underrated somebody, be sure to let me know. I appreciate the support in the vids, guys. Be sure to go follow all the links down in the description box below. Comment down below which position you would like to see next, and I will see you guys in the next video. Deuces.